Right, okay, so hey guys, it's PSL here, and I'm here for my top 10 moments in my F1 Manager series. And now I'm not really going to give much of an intro because 2 weeks ago I put up the first half of this list. This was meant to be a top 10 list of the best moments during my F1 Manager Minardi Manager series, but I had to extend it to a top 20. So if you haven't watched the first part of this list, which lists the 20th best moment down to the 11th best moment, be sure to watch that before watching this, because you might watch this and you'll miss out on quite a few great moments which didn't quite make it in the top 10 but did make it into the top 20. So I'll leave a link down to the first half of that top 20 list down in the description, and once you've done that, let's head off and look at the 10th best moment from this series. Now, I ended off the last video with entry number 11, which was the surprise of Arrow's pace at Monaco. So let's start this half of the list with number 10 being about the surprise of Arrow's pace, not just at Monaco, but during the entire 2002 season. Obviously, the series documented Minardi's rise to championship winners from being backmarkers, but one thing I wasn't expecting to see was Arrow's rise up the ranks as well. Despite only having Tora Takaki and Marc Genet as their drivers in 2002, and with them still using their woefully underpowered own-made engines, they actually did very well in 2002, although they did have a Mark Smith chassis which was the third best one on the grid, and that was basically their entire reason they were so quick that year. So in 2002, Marc Genet got 4th in Brazil, and that's genuine pace. The second race of the season, Arrows, on genuine pace, on merit, got 4th at Brazil. That was astonishing, but nothing could prepare me for their result in Spain. Marc Genet at his home race got 2nd in Spain. And bearing in mind, that's a track which has quite a large reliance on engines, and Arrows have the least powerful engine on the grid. So for Genet at his home race to get 2nd is mesmerising. And let's not forget his pace at the start of the Monaco Grand Prix in 2002. And into the race, I'm heading up towards Lowe's hairpin on lap 1, and Michael Schumacher pulled out a massive gap. But Genet was still holding his own, even though nowhere near Michael Schumacher. He was holding his own, but did have some pressure from Ralf Schumacher in 3rd. Takaki, on the other hand, got one solitary point that season after finishing 6th at Austria. A result he got on genuine merit, not just due to retirements like the 1999 San Marino Grand Prix where he got points there as well. They did still run out of engines in Italy, just like in the previous 3 seasons, but despite that they still did very well in the Constructors' Championship nonetheless. The team that used to be stuck at the back of the grid with us in 1999 ended the 2002 season 7th in the Constructors' Championship, in between Benetton and Williams. Marc Genet got 10th in the Drivers' Championship with 9 points, while Takaki had a much worse season, finishing 2nd to last, only ahead of the pointless Nick Heidfeld in the Prost. Finally, Tom Walkinshaw, the manager and owner of Arrows, ended 2002 in 4th in the Managers' Championship, just behind Ron Dennis. To be fair to Tom Walkinshaw, he completely deserves that, as Arrows did very well in 2002. While they didn't rise as far as Minardi did, they did astonishingly well, considering how bad their car still was to a large extent in 2002. To Ranosuke Takaki, what a career he had this series. In fact, he had such an interesting career this series, I think I accidentally made him a cult hero in the F1 community. Anyway, his career was very interesting. He got 5th place at the 1999 San Marino Grand Prix, ahead of Luca Badoer in 6th. Now, I've already talked about that race in a previous entry on this top 20 list, so I won't go over it in a lot of detail again. Anyway, after that mesmerising performance at San Marino, he landed a drive at Williams for the 2000 season, as their driver number 1 no less. By that point in his career, he became complacent because he knew he was going to be at Williams in 2000, so he just kind of gave up at the end of the 99 season because he knew he didn't really need to try. And then just, well, honestly, look at him after qualifying in Belgium. So how Takaki can set a lap time in the exact same car as his teammate, but 7 seconds a lap slower, is absolutely unbelievable. And that's bearing in mind that Takaki is going to Williams next year, and how on earth he can even remain in F1 next year with pace like this is highly questionable. However, at Williams, things got better for him. You're kidding? No way! Takaki in his first race in the Williams is 5th. Ralf Schumacher's in 3rd. Behind the scenes, I even signed Takaki as my test driver for 2001, he was doing that well. However, after a driver error during the 2000 San Marino Grand Prix, the race he got 5th at the previous year, I pulled the plug on him as I really got scared about his performance. The European Grand Prix that year didn't do him any favours as well. Marc Genet looks like he's going to get past Takaki, that will be a surprise. Come on, Genet. Genet, for not the first time in his career, I believe, has overtaken Takaki. What's going on? Takaki's in 20th. That's the sort of positions he's been in his Arrows days. And so by the end of that year, pretty much everyone in the Formula 1 sphere lost faith in him. And that's despite getting 3rd at the last race of the 2000 season. He did end up becoming Ferrari's test driver in 2001, a good role once you exclude the fact he was once Williams' lead driver. Even worse is that during pre-season testing for the 2001 season, he drove the second quickest car to 5th. He was so slow he was even behind an EA employee during that test. Although to be fair, that was Owain Green, our former test driver, in the BAR, which was also very quick. 2002 when he made a comeback at Arrows, but when Genet was getting podiums, Takaki got 1 point all year. Ironically, he scored more points with the rubbish Arrows car in 1999 than he did with the competitive Arrows in 2002. I think that says it all really. The 8th spot on this list belongs to the 2001 European Grand Prix. It wouldn't be an earth-shattering statement to say that David Coulthard is slower than Mika Hakkinen. We saw it on many occasions in real life, and in this series it was comprehensively proven. However, the 2001 European Grand Prix was one of the few races where David Coulthard genuinely outpaced Hakkinen. However, come the end of the race, the situation completely flipped. Coulthard's still behind Hakkinen, but he's only, 7-8 seconds behind. Okay, right, we got an influx of engine failures here. Trulli's out of a driver error. Good thing I didn't get him as my driver. Although, Coulthard's passed Hakkinen. Good on you, Coulthard, well done. I don't know how Coulthard's done this, but he's been quicker than Hakkinen. This is exceptional, although there's a Williams there. That must be of... I think that's Stephen Watson, that must be. There's some other slow people there. There's a Sauber swerving around all over the place. Don't tell me Hakkinen's going to pass. That Williams has screwed over Coulthard's race. Hakkinen has passed Coulthard's. Although what about the Sauber? Can the Sauber screw up Hakkinen? Coulthard could get past, no, Coulthard's in the train. Oh my word, we're seeing some racing here. No, now the Sauber's let Hakkinen through and is holding up Coulthard. But Hakkinen, he's going to come across the line to win the European Grand Prix and win the Drivers' Championship. We just saw Coulthard go by as well. That, in my eyes, Coulthard won that race. He really did. Coulthard, he was screwed over by Watson and Diniz. In my eyes, he won that race. I mean, look, we saw he was quicker from about 2/3 of that race. Following the 2001 European Grand Prix on this list is the 1999 European Grand Prix. While the 2001 race was one that saw Minardi win our first Drivers' Championship with Mika Hakkinen, this race saw a much smaller victory. You've got to bear in mind though that in 1999 we were pretty slow, but by the end of the season our pace was quite good. We seemed to catch up to a lot of the other slower and more midfield teams. This race saw our best result in 1999, 5th place for Luca Badoa. He did so well that we even nearly lapped the Sauber of Pedro Diniz. So let's take a look at the time where the true Minardi team were at their best. Actually, I'm not going to count out us getting points, because we genuinely outpaced Diniz and Trulli. And what's that? Zanardi's had a bargeable failure. We're only 2 places off the points, so we just need 2 more retirements and people ahead of us, and we are in the points for only the 2nd time this season. And Marc Genet is in the points. Brunsbach, oh my god, we're in a double points finishing position here. What's that? Schumacher's had an engine failure. And so's Barrichello. Trulli's out of electronics. We're in a double points finishing position here. This is absolute miracle. This is an absolute miracle. Oh no, Genet. Genet's had a bargeable failure. Hang on, don't tell me Padoa's going to lap Diniz. This would be an absolute mick take. He is coming up to lap him because Diniz is definitely behind us. This is taking the mick. This is... How on earth are we about to lap a Sauber battle anymore? I'm going to look ahead. And, oh, don't tell me we nearly lapped Diniz then. Diniz, why are you going so slowly? Why on earth was Diniz going? No wonder we've nearly lapped him if he's going that slowly. And is this us coming to finish the Nürburgring Grand Prix? There we go. That was beautiful. 5th place in the Minardi. Ron Dennis is a manager that I do rate very highly. Well, at least once you exclude him in this game. Sure, he did secure both the Drivers' and Constructors' Championship in this series in 1999, even better than in real life as he lost the Constructors' Championship in the real 1999 Formula 1 season. But once you take a look at some of the deals he struck this series, you really do have to question his sanity. From underpowered engines to questionable driver decisions, he did the lot. Please say McLaren have gone for Ford Z6. Yes, they have. They've paid 21 million for the worst engines they can get. McLaren confirmed Fisichella as driver number 1. Why on earth would he take driver number 1? That is a very good move for Fisichella, but what's happened to Hakkinen? I think one of the most exciting announcements we're going to get this series, one of the most exciting contracts. Nuka Pernstein from McLaren, now is it Ford Z-Tech engines? Oh wow, it's a swell. Oh dear, McLaren, what is Ron Dennis doing? What is Ron Dennis doing? So that's brilliant. Driver number 2, Eddie Irvine, he's a solid driver number 2. Has he finally come to his senses 2 years later? I'm sure he has. He hasn't. Ron Dennis still hasn't come to his senses. So he still decided to get the worst engines he could for the 3rd year running and at a cost of 22.8 million. What on earth could this be? Every announcement McLaren makes this season is exceptional. As we've seen, Ron Dennis has gone mad, so what's he done this time? Eddie Irvine as a test driver. I mean, I know Eddie Irvine hasn't been quick this series. He's too good for a test driver role. Surely a 9 million, that's a waste of money. Maybe they're just doing it just to take the piss because Irvine's a former Ferrari driver, so they're just taking the piss out of Ferrari. I don't know. To be honest, that's the most logical thing I can think of. Only 2 signings he made all series were good. Ricardo Zonta for 2002. Now, prior to 2002, no one thought Zonta was that amazing, but he exceeded all expectations and did turn out a very good driver that year, finishing 6th in the Drivers' Championship and ending up just ahead of his teammate David Coulthard. The other was getting Villeneuve for 2001, who scored 27 points and finished 5th in the Drivers' Championship, just losing out to Stephen Watson in the final race in the battle for 4th in the Drivers' Championship, and ironically he lost out because Villeneuve ran out of Ford Zetec engines. So every good deal Ron Dennis did this series was completely counteracted by the many more bad deals that he made. So where does he come in the Managers' Championship at the end of the series? 3rd. Oh, what a load of sh**. The 2000 Malaysian Grand Prix. Not the race with the fewest finishers, but it was the one with the fewest genuine starters. Only 13 of the 22 drivers completed practice, and then only 11 of them completed the first lap of the race. Essentially, it was all of the teams using the bad engines that didn't start, excluding Heinz-Harald Frentzen in the Jordan, who did end up finishing in 5th place and last of the finishers. But anyway, that's a good moment, but also, that Malaysian Grand Prix was very exciting. Because it was the last race of the season, there was an interesting turn of the tables between Minardi and Williams right at the death of the season. Obviously, we used our last 4th model engine at the last race, and the last 3rd model engine at the last race. We actually completed practice and qualifying on those 4th and 3rd model engines, but unfortunately, that's the supply gone, so we're actually going to be quite a bit slower in the race. Damon Hill's out with a fuel issue? You're kidding. I know what it must be. I know what it must be. The problem is what I forgot about is how the 4th model of engine, not only is it more powerful, it's also more fuel efficient. I think Williams have jumped us in the constructors actually, with Takaki getting 3rd, Neil McEwen out of a suspension failure, and Jean Lacey out of a driver error. So I think only 5 cars finished. David Coulthard 1st, Raoul Schumacher 2nd, Takaki 3rd, Villeneuve 4th, Heinz-Harald Frentzen 5th. And I think that means Williams, right at the death, have jumped us in the constructors. And I think Raoul Schumacher's beaten Salo in the drivers. Qualifying exists in order to determine the running order for a Grand Prix. Apparently that memo wasn't given to a few drivers on a few of the races. This entry is dedicated to all those times people jumped the start of the race. Sometimes it screwed us over, sometimes it helped us, but it was always hilarious to witness whatever the circumstances. We'll be in a similar position. It's quite sad to see a former Minardi driver in this position. Ricardo Zonta first. What? No, hang on. Ricardo Zonta actually is first. How's he done that? Whoa, okay. Anyway, Ricardo Zonta's in first, or he was in first. I have no idea how Ricardo Zonta was able to make up that many places. Michael Schumacher's got past, though, I believe. So I have no idea how Ricardo Zonta's been able to do that, but he's clearly cheated. I mean, what's... That cheeky arrows. That cheeky arrows of Genet. Oh, okay, fair enough. If that's Genet, that's Genet who's holding up David Coulthard right now. Let's have a look at this. This is ridiculous. Look! Oh, Genet's just let Barrichello through. and has held up Coulthard. And what was looking like a perfect race of Coulthard has now turned to a disaster of a race. He's let Frentzen pass. No, Frentzen's into second. That's Schumacher he let past. Oh, don't tell me it. Jesus, how many cars did Hakkinen give birth to? Okay, so Sarrazin is leading the race. Hakkinen in second. Deniz in third. Coulthard fourth. Frentzen is in fifth. So into the race, and Ricardo Zonta and Alexander Wurz jump the start. Wurz doing that 3 races in a row now, which is getting very annoying. And they do hold us up slightly, but both retire by the end of the first corner, so it's not that big of a deal as they do hold up the entire field, not just us. Jean Alesi and Olivier Panis were the 2 bright sparks who did capitalise from Wurz and Zonta jumping the queue, and Alesi and Panis moved up into a very good position, jumping both Ferraris, but heading up to 130R, and both Ferraris do clear the train though, but still to be held up for 1 lap, that is a massive help, so thanks to Alesi and Panis there. I'm almost 100% convinced that everyone watching this video right now couldn't race a Formula 1 car at a competitive speed after having no practice at all prior to your first race weekend. Even a lot of professional racing drivers don't get up to speed that quickly with new cars, especially Formula 1 cars. So for a real life EA employee to be partnered alongside Michael Schumacher in a championship winning Ferrari, while a massive privilege for him, is also completely comical and out of this world. Johnny Herbert and Alex Minardi were rumoured for the Ferrari number 2 seat, but Neil McEwen defied the odds to get the seat instead. There were some unbelievable things that happened this series, but this tops the lot for something that happened that just wouldn't happen in real life. And what is Neil McEwen doing? What is that angle? He is so unprofessional. Look, he can't even park the car properly. Neil McEwen's ahead of Schumacher. What? Okay, we got massive lags, probably because Neil McEwen passed Michael Schumacher. Neil McEwen is out. Oh, he had such a promising race. He's out with a fuel problem, and now Jarno Trulli's out with an engine failure. And Neil McEwen's dropped down to 16th, 13th. This guy's all over the place. 1 minute he's overtaken Schumacher like we saw in Australia. Next minute he's... So Neil McEwen was in 3rd, dropped down loads of positions, is now back up into 3rd. What is wrong with this guy? Now he's into 2nd. Michael Schumacher's going to win unless he retires. And if he does retire, Neil McEwen's all over the place with his pace. It's hilarious. So we should be ahead of him. So as long as we can fend off Ralf Schumacher, we could actually win, as long as we don't retire ourselves. Michael Schumacher's been given the unreliable engine, and Neil McEwen has been given the car which has worked perfectly for 45 laps. So the guy who's got no motorsport racing experience at all, as a former EA employee, comes around the final corner against all odds and all expectations to win the German Grand Prix against his entire form, which we've seen the rest of the season, which has been shocking compared to now. 2000 wasn't quite the last we saw of the legend that is Neil McEwen. He came back as Williams' test driver in 2002. So, how did he fare in pre-season testing for the 2002 season? Well, he came last. Not too surprising in itself, but he was 9 seconds a lap slower than another EA employee who was driving a Formula 1 car for the first time. So Neil McEwen was the driver that was so bad he was beaten by another EA employee who had way less experience than him and was in a slower car, a Sauber compared to a Williams. Honestly, what an entertaining and mind-blowing career Neil McEwen had this series. Heinz-Harald Frenzen's career this series was, believe it or not, even crazier than Neil McEwen's. Let's ignore 1999 and 2000. Both years he was at Jordan and he had a relatively under-the-radar season, where he was beaten by his teammates both years. Despite that, he was given the chance to partner the reigning World Drivers' champion Michael Schumacher at Ferrari in 2001. Being Ferrari's number 2 driver is normally the kiss of death, but surely Heinz-Harald Frentzen, a man tipped for greatness when he entered the sport in the 1990s, can avoid that infamous Ferrari curse. Ferrari, in my opinion, have got a very, very strong driver lineup next year. I mean, you don't get much better than, Schumacher driver number 1, Frentzen driver number 2, Heinz-Harald Frentzen in the Ferrari 10th. So he's not doing very well. I'm not getting to grips with that Ferrari, and we know Frentzen is a good driver, but Schumacher first. Oh, no, but they've got Frentzen as their test driver. That's controversial, that is. I know Frentzen hasn't been that quick so far this season. That's quite poor, I think. Frentzen is much better than deserving of a test driver role. Oh, this is ridiculous. Ferrari clearly favour Schumacher's car, because how often does Schumacher have a car failure? Rarely. How often does Frentzen have a car failure? All the time. This is exceptional. Heinz-Harald Frentzen is quicker than Michael Schumacher in practice. Actually, no, Schumacher's behind Frentzen. So Frentzen has got ahead of his teammate. Is Schumacher going to repass his teammate? No, he's not. Frentzen, there you go. Come on, Frentzen, in 3rd place. And where's Frentzen? Frentzen's still going. Okay, I want to see Frentzen come across the line. What? No. You're not telling me 3 laps before the end Frentzen's going to have a suspension failure? Frentzen out again. A driver error. What is... Right, Frentzen, this is the one race he might actually have finished. And he's binned it. The fact is, this Ferrari shouldn't build a car that's this unreliable. But when you've got an extremely unreliable car, you've got to take the chances you can. And Frentzen just hasn't. Not even at the last race of the season. Even now, Frentzen can't score a point. What a stupid way for Ferrari to run a team. How come Schumacher, 9 times out of 10, doesn't have a car failure? Frentzen, sure, he's had a few driver errors. To be fair to him, I think he's had about 4 or 5 driver errors. He had one last time out, actually. But a suspension failure. What are Ferrari doing? Have they got something against Frentzen? Like, Neil McEwen never had this many car failures. Eddie Irvine never did in 99. How come Frentzen's had so many? So Heinz-Harald Frentzen, one of the most highly rated drivers of the time, in a Ferrari, the 2nd quickest car on the grid, hasn't been able to score any points. I'll just repeat that. Heinz-Harald Frentzen, in a Ferrari, has scored no points all year. What could be a better moment than Heinz-Harald Frentzen's crazy career, Takaki's pretty astonishing career, or Neil McEwen's outlandish career? What could be better than Ron Dennis going absolutely insane? And what could be more entertaining than cars jumping the start? And while all of those are great moments, and all the other previous 19 moments on this list have been fantastic moments, I would have to say the best moment for me this series was the 2000 San Marino Grand Prix. The reason I put this first on this list is because it is one of the few moments that genuinely shocked me when I was playing this game. I knew before recording this series that in 1999 we wouldn't be that quick, and I knew in 2001 we would dominate. I knew more or less how this series would run before it started. The 2000 San Marino Grand Prix shocked me, as I genuinely wasn't expecting to win in 2000, especially not near the start of the season. Sure, it was helped by the high attrition rate Imola has. Sure, we only just won by a quarter of a second ahead of Rubens Barrichello, and sure, Damon Hill had a mildly disappointing result getting 4th. But what a race. Is he going to make a move down here? He made a move down here last lap. Come on! He's done it, has he? Neil, yes. So Damon Hill has got past Neil McEwen into 3rd place. So both Minardis are in podium positions, and let's see if Damon Hill can catch up to Mick Asalo. Michael Schumacher's out of a driver error. We have now got a very good chance of actually winning this. Okay, no, we don't. I was going to say we got a good chance of winning this race, but we don't, because Ralf Schumacher's got past us. Where is Takaki, speaking of which? 10th. Both Ferraris are out, barge failure for Neil McEwen there, and both of our drivers are oh no, pit stops course. Right, okay, we're in contention for our first ever race win at Minardi, and Mick Asalo's catching up at a rapid rate, 46 seconds. Mick Asalo's leading! What's going on? Well, Mick Asalo in first. How close is Rubens Barrichello to him? Not too close, Rubens Barrichello is in 7 seconds. What's happened to Damon Hill there? Damon Hill's been passed by Hans-Hal Frentzen. Rubens Barrichello is now only 2.8 seconds by Mick Asalo. This is going to go down to the wire, but I think both Jordans are actually going to get past us. And that's why I have considered doing like special videos where we watch an entire race live start to finish. And Rubens Barrichello, oh my god, Mick Asalo just covered him off there. Very late defending move there, but Mick Asalo's just defended Rubens Barrichello, and don't tell me we're going to come through. Don't tell me we're going to have our first win for Minardi at the 2000 San Marino Grand Prix. And Mick Asalo, he's going to win. Has he won? Mick Asalo crosses the line to win the 2000 Imola Grand Prix. Rubens Barrichello is in second. Now Hans-Hal Frentzen, I'm guessing, is still in third. Hans-Hal Frentzen has crossed the line in third. That just means Damon Hill, he's going to cross the line soon. Yes, he's coming through the last couple of corners, this last chicane, and he's going to get 4th place. Not quite what we're hoping for, the former world champion, but Damon Hill crosses the line in 4th in the 2000 San Marino Grand Prix. So, what? I mean, I don't know what to say. We've exceeded all expectations like anyone had. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and this is well and truly my EA F1 Manager Minardi Manager series done. There is nothing else I can think of to do with this series. I've done over 50 videos on it, I've done season montages, I did the goodbye video, I've done this top 20 list. I don't think I can milk this series anymore. I hope you enjoyed the first top 10, or I guess this is more like a top 20 list that I've done on this channel. And if you guys do want me to do more top 10 or top 20 lists, be sure to let me know in the comments. Also be sure to comment if you thought that I should have moved around some of the moments, if you think there was a moment I missed out. Be sure to leave that down in the comments. Anyway guys, I'll see you next time for whatever video I put out next. And more importantly, and this is a genuinely sad moment for me and the PS Luton Rules channel, bye bye F1 Manager.